Dragons Rising Season 4 is closer than you may think. I know a lot of focus is currently on Ninjago Legacy, and don't get me wrong, I'm so happy to see Legacy come back, and the set that we've seen so far looks absolutely amazing. But in my opinion, Dragons Rising Season 4 deserves to get some focus, as it is shaping up to be one of the most interesting and very best Ninjago seasons of all time. And apparently it is going to be our second to last Dragons Rising season as well, meaning that it is guaranteed to mean big things for the series. So I think the best place to start will be with the plot, or at least the potential plot of this season. So as you see at the end of Season 3, the ninja have been split up across the merged lands due to releasing the Archdragon of Focus, making them enemies with the Source Dragons. So we can only assume that at least half of Part 1 will take place with the ninja exploring their new whereabouts. And I know this is very hopeful, but the ninja get split up into 3 different realms, and there are only 3 more realms that we are yet to see in Ninjago, so I think you know where I'm going with this. However, there has been some speculation on where the ninja have ended up, especially Lloyd and Aaron, as many people have said that it could be the Netherrealm. There really isn't any hard evidence hinting at this. I think this rumor really only stems from the fact that people really want to see Lloyd with Akita again. But after some more digging, this realm actually that they ended up in seems to be the Whispering Woods, according to one of the new Ninjago books. I've also heard that Sora, Wildfire, and Thrak are potentially in the same place that the Shadow Dojo ended up after Season 2 Part 1, and I have to say this looks to be spot on. Everything from the ground to the sky just looks very similar. Some more things that we can expect to see in Season 3 is Jay and Nia's relationship growing stronger again, as last season ended up with Jay pretty much confessing his feelings towards Nia. And we could see something similar between Thrak and Sora as well. And say what you will about this ship, but you can almost guarantee that it is going to happen at least some point and some way in this season. They just set it up way too well to completely ignore it. And moving away from the ninja, we can also guess that Lord Raz will once again play a major part in this season. Towards the end of Season 3, we saw a new version of Raz, a more angrier and determined version of himself that we have yet to see. Now I can't imagine that Raz is going to be the main villain of the season. I think that he would most definitely take more of a back seat and be more of a side villain this time around, as it seems that the ninja have their own problems to deal with, and Raz seems fully focused on his plan to obtain all of the Source Dragon icons. And as I said in my Season 3 review video, I think that Raz will end up finding all of the icons, potentially bar one of them in the season, and we will almost 100% see our first glimpse of Raz's master. My guess is that it will be either at the very end of Part 1 or Part 2, but I would be placing my bets on the end of Part 2. And we also got some hints at who Raz's master could be from a leaker a few months back that says that we have seen him before in Dragons Rising Season 2, and that he has also appeared in a set. And my only guess from this is the Source Dragon of Strength, but that just sounds a bit too obvious and it doesn't really fit into those hints too well either. Anyway, just like I said in my review video, I think that there is a chance that we see Cole and Zane team up with each other this season, along with Pixel and the Finders, in order to stop Raz. And speaking of Zane and Pixel, there's also been some chatter that they could actually come back into next season with their own kid. And I would just love to know how that would even work. So that is all of the last season speculation stuff covered, so let's now move on to some information that we have learned especially for this season. So one of the first things we have seen was this tweet where someone asked Doc Wyatt whether the Source Dragon icons could be destroyed, where Doc replied by saying, "It's not easy, but they can be destroyed." And the statement could mean one of two things. One is that Raz collects all of the sword and reverse the merge, or whatever he meaning that the ninja have to destroy one of them to stop it. But I can only assume, and the other scenario is that Doc Wyatt or any of the Ninjago writers in general just have never thought about this, so when asked, he just tried to give a random answer that could maybe cause some discussion with. And to continue, we have yet another fan asking Doc Wyatt a question. which asks whether Cole will have a major role in Season 4, seeing as he was pretty much completely written off for Season 3. And Doc replies saying that it is safe to say that Cole will get some good fight real estate, as he puts it. So in my predictions for the season, I did say that Cole could potentially be one of, but as we all now know, he definitely did not get any focus. This fight could also have something to do with the mech we have seen for Cole in the sets that could potentially be his Golem form. And speaking of the sets, why don't we take a look at them, shall we? So the first set leaks that we saw, I believe, came from a book listing. I don't think that's an English name of it, but anyway, this book did reveal a few things to us. The first of which was our first look at Lloyd's minifigure for the season. So from what it looks like, the ninja will, as we see Jay at the very left of the book, wearing a very similar suit to Lloyd, but with the mask on. Anyway, at the top of the cover, we see a new vehicle for who I can only assume it's for Zane. And this set does look very small, but I still think it is an overall decent set. And we also get a first look at Season 4 Zane without the hood as well. And the final thing on the cover I want to talk about is Euphrasia, as this looks to be a different minifigure from the one we got. It is probably more likely than not she'll have at least a more prominent role in this season. And finally, we have this image which shows us quite a bit. So let's start off with Cole. It would be very skinny for a regular mech, and it also does resemble that mock that Brick Legends made a while back. Not so much the one I made for it. Anyway, I'm just gonna be more prominent next season. And the other build we have is, I've been hating on the set, but me personally, I don't mind it at all. That doesn't mean I'm planning on buying. Now onto the minifigures. Let's start with the Ninja, of course. So this pretty much confirms that Jay will officially rejoin the Ninja team this season, and potentially even cut his hair, which is a bit disappointing. I definitely would have liked to see his hair in an actual set, but what can you do? We also get a good look at Nia, who seems to use her blue, azure and gunmetal grey colour scheme. However, I don't really like this figure of her too much. However, a figure I do really like. And then the Loyalist leader, and with that name we can only assume that they will be leading the Loyalists. And speaking of the Loyalists, I have heard some people say that this could be Jordana, but there isn't really too much to back that up. Continuing on, we also have the Rock Monster, again a very cool looking figure, and now we only have one more thing about the book, and that is that apparently these monsters come from, and so it doesn't look like the ninja will be stranded for too long after all, but I do wonder how these monsters either ended up in Imperium or maybe were even created there. But I would take this with a grain of salt, because as we know, Ninjago books don't always tell the full truth, so this could very well just be made up. And I've only just found out that this set got leaked. I don't know, I just think it's really cool. The image here also includes our first look at Dragon Cole and a slightly new Arrow minifigure. It just looks like the black from a Season 3 figure. And next up we're going back to some fans asking Doc quiet questions, with this one being, we see the Source Dragon of Focus defeat Thunderfang with the medallion on his neck. What exactly is this medallion? And Doc replies with saying that it is the Reservoir of Focus, and these reservoirs are supposedly objects / locations that house each Source Dragon's power. And this could also be important to the plot of Season 4, because as we know at the end of Season 3, all of the ninja lost their elemental powers, so to maybe regain them they have to go to their respective Source Dragon's reservoir. So for example, Lloyd may have to go to the Life Reservoir, and Clyde may have to go to the Motions one. But that is just a rumor right now. And speaking of the Source Dragon reservoirs and Lloyd, someone actually asked Doc if the reservoirs will be more perceivable to Lloyd, seeing as he is a conduit, and he replied with training he could master such a skill. And who knows what the skill could be, but I would assume that we will find out in Season 4, as Doc Ward bothered to give us an answer and actually had an answer for us in the first place. And speaking of dragons, we also got to look at what Season 4 Ryu could look like. So a few months ago, Ninjago actually did a collab with a random Roblox game called Dragon Adventures, which is a bit odd. But anyway, in this game, we see a kind of new vert design for Ryu, which is pretty much just an even more grown-up version of him, which we pretty much did expect to see in this season, because in each Dragons Rising season, Ryu has at least grown up a little bit, and we are also getting a new Ryu set, which also pretty much confirms that he will be getting bigger. This also suggests that there could be a fairly major time skip in between Season 3 and 4, as growing that much takes a bit more than a few weeks. They grow up so fast. And the next bit of info we have is some potential episode descriptions, and now I believe this is most likely fake because the descriptions sound a lot like something that just anyone could have written up based off current leaks and rumors, but just in case this is true, I'll leave the descriptions on screen for a few seconds. Anyway, also from this game, we have an image of the Source Dragon of Life, and I don't really know if this is what it would officially look like when we eventually see it in the show, but yeah, I just thought I would throw that in here as well. Another thing we know comes out of the Ninjago Crosstalks podcast. Yeah, I didn't know that was the thing either. So this is supposed to be canon to the show, and apparently in the last episode, Creel and Lobo, the hosts of this podcast, tried to go into the monastery, but I find it to be abandoned and Rapton has taken over it. And this podcast is supposed to be taking place between Season 3 and Season 4, which I can only guess means that Cole and the Finders will have already left the monastery when Season 4 starts to either fight the ninja or find Lord Raz, because I highly doubt that Rapton would be able to kick them out. So a lot of this stuff is just speculation and rumors for now, but one thing we do know is that Season 4 Part 2 will 100% be leaked early. See you later, be Ninja.